Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of What If Civilization Started Over. In the last episode, we saw the Cold War kind of developed a bit more. We saw quite a few wars actually broke out across the world. Saw the big thing on the West Coast. We also saw Switzerland made a giant union with quite a few of their allies, as well as Denmark, even though Denmark didn't want to join the union. They were kind of invaded into it. Denmark had lost two wars in about 4 weeks, which I don't know, maybe that sets a record or something. But let's get into today's episode, which is it's gonna be chaotic. All right, so as I mentioned in the last episode, borders are lined with troops. The Dark Sign team, they've really got troops everywhere. This is pretty all the countries they border are against them. Um, Same thing like over here. Canada's got its borders entirely lined with mainly Great Lakes troops. America's got its own troops on these borders here. Countries are preparing their navies, and it's looking like a Cold War or World War is going to break out. Um, it it may have been like a, even though I did nukes at the end of the episode, nukes are always being developed throughout the episodes, and well, we're gonna actually take a quick look at the new level of nukes. As these, I did not do that. As these are kind of a bit outdated. Please. Okay, I did save this down here. Gotta make sure I still have the color because I may or may not have forgotten it last episode. I mean, if you didn't watch last episode, go watch it. Maybe you'll see quite a few fumbles from me. But all right, let's update this now. Now, have I already forgotten the amount of nukes countries have? Yes, I did. Um, but we saw, well, with the Cold War seeming to come to a close, a new war may break out. We see some countries are they're gonna rapidly develop nukes. Michigan, or not Michigan, the Great Lakes Empire. Well, they've went from 53 now to 92. And I'm just gonna do ex whoops. I'm gonna do extra stored nukes in right as I do this. Last episode they didn't have any. Now they are storing one nuke in Canada. And Canada feels so happy. Because as it turns out, Canada is where a lot of the uranium in the world comes from. A lot from Canada, some of this area here in Australia. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. America. How many do you have? Um, well, how many did they? I don't say sure. Alright, I don't remember how many they had. Now they have 48 though. Sure. Alright, let's move on. These guys here, they get one more nuke. Same with Ghana, and I didn't add their capital. Switzerland. How many do you have? You, my friend, have 82. And you didn't switch, or you didn't give anyone else nukes, did you? Who knows? Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Maybe you're a Swiss hater. But Actually, type in the comments below what your favorite country is this far into the so far in the series. I do want to know. Not like there's gonna, not like half of your answers are gonna be gone by the end of World War III, but who knows? All right, now, the Great Lakes Empire, 123 nukes. Do you really need that many? And yes, I did do 1, 2, 3 because no reason. And alright, you now have 40 nukes stored in another country. Playing it smart, maybe. Alright, so how many of those here? Well, you've got 10 stationed out here. So didn't you have 16 nukes stored in another country? But 10 here as well. And now things start getting divided up a bit more. You see 5 out in Mexico. I'll move that to see it a bit better. It's 5 in Mexico, 5 in this country, 5 are given to Libya, and the final 5, they are going to be handed over to this country down here. Alright, Ethiopia, you're up next. And you have beat the Great Empire. And, well, you didn't beat them in nukes you're handing out. Which is sad, maybe. I don't know. You did kind of like give almost all of your allies nukes in the last episode, so maybe it's not sad. Alright, so Mozambique, you are given a very hefty chunk of this nuclear loadout. And Blue Australia, as are you, with you also getting 12 nukes. And that's already more than a half of nukes you have at your disposal, or that you're giving out. Alright, who else gets nukes? Well, Persia does. They will only be getting 5. And we see that trend continues here. And actually, not all of you get 5. Out of all of them, Qatar only gets 3. No, wait, no, that can't be. Alright, that's just that. Alright, you get 3. You get 3. You get 3. And you get 2. Alright, you over here, you now have 5 nukes. And Alaska, they took some back. Alright, Korea, how many do you have? You are now sitting kind of in the middle between Switzerland and the Great Lakes Empire. You now have not 1. You have an asterisk. You have 87 nukes, and you're storing more than half of them in another country. Maybe that's because you have a little friend here who also has a bunch of nukes. All right. So out of all, not all of the nukes here are. You know what, let me do some. So, South China itself has 7 nukes, but they also have 15 nukes from Korea, but that doesn't. I'm gonna do something before the episode ends. Um, I'm gonna do something here. Actually, I'll do it after this episode ends, but then I'll forget. 16 nukes down here. You had more. You had 21, so now you have 23. You had 21, now you have 24. You had, like, in the 40s. Now you're at 53, though. Alright, you never got, well, you never gave out all the nukes. 15 of them were given to South China, yet another 15 given to Vietnam, and, 13 here. They didn't, no, 10 here, and 3 out here. Alright, so, now, one more country left. And India, you have 6 nukes. Good for you. Alright, and that is it for nuclear production. And, what do you know? Tensions are still rising, and rising, and rising. And, y nobody's, nobody's really friendly with anyone except for people in their own alliance, and even still, that doesn't appear to be happening. Maybe fix yourself. Alright, but yeah. So tensions are rising. We now see ships are being sent out. And the first action that the first real action that we see taking place happens over here as Italy invades these guys, which is, weird. Like why Dudov? Oh, Switzerland, you own this now. But they aren't the only ones. As I'm just gonna remove the capitals and the major cities so I can see what I'm clicking on. Yeah, these guys, the tiny Moltons, well, they're gonna show off their strength. Uh, Mainly because like nobody's expecting an invasion from the south, but somehow that's pulled off. Somehow, and also you see these little guys. Also, unite with these big guys over here. Alright, so a Cypriot Cretan Union, or Maltan Cretan Union, and also Sicily, or not Sicily, Sardinia, and these guys. Yeah, and then um, so this is apparently a big union taking place here. As it turned out, these guys were actually just going to join the union. So a big union just took place, obviously, and all of the capitals are kept because this is a weird union. Um, all of the countries are representing their own. And yes, they do stay in the cross lines. But Switzerland doesn't like this. And before they find out that uh, they stayed in the cross lines, Switzerland does the dumbest decision in Swiss history, and they declare war on this new union. They invade it, and this activates the Cross Alliance. The Cross Alliance and the Diamonds have gone to war. And a certain somebody's gonna take an opportunity on this. Ethiopia declares war on the Crosses, and what we also see fighting goes on here, which makes Ethiopia also want to declare war on Switzerland because these guys are invading are gonna invade their ally. So we see troops drawn from Australia. So Korea is gonna take advantage of that, and will they're gonna declare war on Ethiopia's alliance, which they have an invasion right there. And they're also gonna take advantage of another distracted alliance. Wait, is that them? Yeah. So they're gonna take advantage of another distracted alliance and declare war on the diamonds. Not a good idea, maybe, but who knows? But we see the Great Lakes Empire is going to be smart and stays out of this. They did not stay out of it. They declare war on Ethiopia, but Ethiopia only, until America declares war on the uh, these guys, all these guys. And the war just suddenly erupted into chaos. Okay, so things are not doing well to, okay, this day can't get any worse, right? Nukes are starting to be launched. Yet, so, I'm gonna do just a bit bigger. This green color. First nukes are launched out of Ethiopia, and they hit Egypt, out of all places, which actually is going to do some major damage. These nukes they're stronger than the ones used in WICSO. However, they are not stronger than the ones used on Hiroshima. But we see a lot of this area is getting nuked. So we see six, yes, six of the nukes used just to nuke Egypt alone. And well, the war's gonna actually start off, and we see more nukes are used. With pretty much every alliance at war with every alliance. I think I think there isn't ones that aren't at war. Yeah, there's not an alliance that's not at war with another alliance, other than the circles. They're staying out of this. They smart, big brains, big brain, big brains for the circles. All right. So Ethiopia is going to use more of their nukes, and they really can't hit many other targets. So bye bye Tanzania again. They use another 6 nukes down on Tanzania, and they'll use an additional 2 more for safety measures. This is not going to end well. We're going to see just this episode alone is going to be nuclear warfare. Also from these nukes launched, we discovered something. Turns out a bunch of nukes were being hid in this area, and in fact, 23 of them. So already the Great Empire is down to 100 nukes. But the first country to launch nukes back at these guys is actually going to be the Great Lakes Empire, who's going to nuke. They're going to decide to play it safe. 4 nukes dropped on the capital of Ethiopia, and somehow the president is not killed. But also, like, Ethiopia is also now down to 100 nukes. These guys are down to 89. or 88. Korea next launches its nukes, and they're going to play it safe and really only nuke the Great Empire. And they really can't get much further than this because these nukes do not have long range, by the way. So they're going to nuke just the most important cities, which is going to include this entire trade route. And they're using a lot of their nukes. Let's take a quick count on nukes. So these guys here are down to, uh, okay. These guys are down to 100. We know that. Don't know how. You know what? It's 0. Just fit it over. I should have done. Alright. 0, 0. Okay. Alright. So they're down to 100. Just scroll up a bit more. A bit over. These guys also down to 100. Mm. Korea, they only lost the nukes that they've launched, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think 10, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9. So you are now you're now in the 70s. 87, now down to 78. Alright, so the only country that has not had nukes launched yet is Switzerland, and they're not launching their nukes anytime soon either. Alright, these guys here. 92, 88 now. Alright. So nukes are being launched all across the world. We see we see it turns out that most of the countries only had their nukes that are in other countries being stored in one or two places. That nuke alone, which is much smaller, but this nuke alone, right here, that just wiped out this country's entire arsenal. Same with that nuke right there. Ethiopia kind of played things a bit smart over in this region, as it takes 4 nukes to destroy all of theirs. And we see where all these nukes are coming from. 6 nukes are erased from the Swiss arsenal now. Alright. This is going to be slower than I was anticipating. 78 in a dark red. Alright. And actually they don't stop at 78 nukes. They are going to lose 2 more. And well, it's actually very smart because you lose 2, you defeat 20. 78 to 76, 10 to 0 twice. And these nukes kind of just, I don't know, they hit right. Turns out that's that both of the nuke storages were alongside their allies' territory. These guys got no nukes. But you know who does have nukes and also didn't store them in a no and didn't store them in different spots? Sweden. They've just lost all of their nukes, and it took one nuke from the Great Empire, which now means that Ethiopia is the only country with over 100 nukes, right? Well, no. More con Obviously more countries are going to be launching their nukes. Oh, these guys also lost their nuclear arsenal. And these guys, and these guys. Yeah, Ethiopia didn't store their nukes in a different place, did they? Alright, so, 90, and now down by 5. They are at 95. Or 100, now down by 5. They are at 95. You know who hasn't launched their nukes yet? Quite a few people. Down here, all of these nuclear arsenals were destroyed. And we're soon gonna find out that, yeah, those weren't the only ones. I mean, why would they be the only ones? Someone finally hit the one nuke that was stationed out here. And also, the, the 12 nukes stationed out here were stationed in 2 spots. Um, and both of those were sent up by Red Australia, too. I'm not gonna really update. The nukes aren't gonna be updated as much, but as the war drags on, they won't at least. So, nukes shot there. All of these nukes up here happened to be shot by um the Americans, except for the one nuke stationed in Alaska hit these guys as one nuke. So for Alaska maybe. America didn't know this. They still launched a nuke up there. So out of all of their nukes, they destroyed 4 of theirs. This is probably going to be one of the longest episodes, by the way, just because it's only going to be the nuclear war, yes, but there's a lot of nuclear war to be done. Oh, Mexico, what a great spot to store your nukes. It, it's more so right here, but um, America's a bit affected by launching one of their own nukes. These guys, they had their nukes stored right here. That's already been done over there. Yeah, the next episodes will be, they're all gonna be conventional warfare. It's just nukes in this episode. Over here we see almost China's entire arsenal is wiped out by 6 nukes. If I can do this. 6 nukes here. It's actually only 4 nukes in China. We see one hitting the capital of this country, and 22 nukes down the drain, buddy. That's quite a bit. Also, being stored in your capital. How would you do that? Vietnam at least stored them in a city that's not their capital. But bye-bye to three numbers here. India launched those nukes. So, the world not fans of Korea's not fans of India right now. China, how many nukes did you lose in that? Well, you went from the number you were just at down to 32, so luckily China has actually kept the rest of their nukes a secret. Korea has out of 43 nukes, Korea has 8 left in another country's territory. Scratch that. 8 nukes have just been launched out of this country, and places they're hitting are actually quite far away from them. They have, of those 8 nukes, 8 of them hit Ethiopia, as if Ethiopia hasn't had enough. Well, kinda. EAC, 4 of those nukes are on the border of the Great Empire. And the one country, or there's two countries actually. Two big, actually, only Ethiopia and the Great Empire are being nuked right now. But I said that too soon. The Great Empire launches 3 of their nukes into these guys here. They started the war, they should get nukes the most. And 2 of those nukes also hit the Great Empire, or the Great Lakes Empire, one of them hitting their capital, and one of them hitting their only nuclear arsenal. So, they've effectively, they somehow managed to salvage a couple nukes. One of them goes off during transportation, though, and the other, but they've lost their only nuclear launch site. However, they still are able to hold on to 15 nukes, and then 14 because the one that blew up. But other capitals, like, no. So, this war's gotten chaotic. You launched 8 of your nukes. Uh, I just, Jesus. 7, 0. Alright. So, well, countries have really lost some nukes, huh? Great Lakes Empire, how many do you have left stored in another country? 0. These guys, they don't get their nukes destroyed, they launch their nukes. And these nukes hit only Switzerland. But Switzerland has, well, they've also lost their nuclear arsenal now. Capital of the Dutch team gets it. Ooh, that's gotta stink. Alright, so, well, now we've got, what? Oh, yeah, you have no more nukes left in any of your allies other than Russia. So Russia is the only real hope in this nuclear war. Alright, this is this is real fun for Switzerland right now, I bet. They've got the least nukes out of every country in the world. Oh, 95 nukes are left here. No, it's 90 because the 5 that were launched elsewhere. Alright. Where's the next nuke hitting? It's hitting Sumatra. 2 nukes hit Sumatra. They do not wipe out their nuclear arsenal. In fact, Sumatra has all of their 23 nukes set out in different areas. Smart, waste all of them. Waste your uh or your enemy's nukes. And these nukes are and the rest of these nukes are kind of launched all over the world. See a couple drop in America, four of them, in fact. A few more drop in Ethiopia. Ethiopia's just getting bombed to the brim with nukes. And then why not drop a few right here in the Great Empire? You know, let's add one right about here for good measure. Wait, why would you do that? You just hit Mount Rainier. Or not Mount Rainier, Mount Elbrus. Probably, maybe. I don't know. It's somewhere around here. But volcanic eruption spreading nuclear radiation, and that nuclear radiation's gonna go all over the Great Empire. Spreads down out in here some bit, spreads out into Tibet and the Gold Team. It'll goes all the way over into Korea and China, and they say bad, bad Sumatra. You can't really take nukes back from them, but alright, a couple more nukes dropped on them. Add a few more out here. Put a few more. Just a few more. Alright, so now let's update nuclear arsenals. You have, from 44, you now have 31. Um, Turns out some more nukes get dropped on these guys. Yeah, you're wasting your enemy's nukes, but still, you kind of just lost the rest of your own because you wasted yours too. And you also got your, uh, some of your major cities hit. And the whole world is feeling the effects of this too. Radiation is spreading greatly across many of the countries. And, kind of WICSO real event. China's thinking of leaving the war. They don't want to get bombed anymore. They get one more nuke from the Great Empire. Now let's update. Let's actually update nuclear arsenals. Yes, Sumatra. You launched all those nukes and then you got some more nukes. Some of them probably hit areas that you already had lost nukes or launched nukes from. China. Well, from that extra nuke the Great Empire gave you, you, my friend, now have 27 nukes. So out of every country in the world, uh, nukes are kind of spread out-ish. See, 89 nukes left in the Great Empire, except that's just from them getting launched. In reality, there's actually only 68. Not doing that certain number. Alright, Ethiopia, my friend, mein Freunde. You have, ooh, you've really lost some nukes. Out of every great power in the world, you have the third lowest, actually, which is kind of actually really good. Alright, who hasn't been nuked yet? Well, out of every country with nukes, most of them have been nuked. But out of every great power in the world, Korea has not been nuked. And, Great Empire wants to change that. 8 nukes, all of them being up in this region here. Korea's kind of smart. They while they did store all of their nukes in 10 nuclear arsenals, um, they didn't put any near major cities. And, well, we thought one more nuke is launched, being from Ethiopia, and, they now have only one of their nuclear arsenals left. But more nukes for the Great Empire. They kind of did a similar thing, didn't they? Let me just cover that up. Now, there. All right. A similar thing that happened with Korea. They had a lot of their nukes stored away from population centers, at least in this region. But they had a lot of their nukes stored there. It's a problem. So you no longer have that. You no longer have that, but I'm also gonna just erase all of that because that's the wrong color, and you no longer have all of that. And um, you'll never believe this, but in a crazy turn of events, the one country that can't launch its nukes has the most out of the five great powers in the world. You have gotten from 14 now down to 12. You have 13 still, Great Empire. And how did you lose so many nukes? You went from 21 to 11. How did you lose 10 nukes? Well, in short, what you did is you nuked another country with 10 of them. And not just one another country. The one country that has the most nukes in the world, or second most nukes in the world, third, Russia gets nuked. There. They get quite a few of these nukes. And we see something kind of happening with a lot of countries, or a lot of the alliances. The main country in the alliance is falling. Ethiopia, they're actually no longer, well, actually, with Ethiopia and the Great Empire, they are still the strongest country in their alliance. However, with every other country, it is not true. Trapezoids, America's stronger now. The diamonds, Russia's the strongest. Out here, the Chinese are the strongest country. But there's not really, for the cross and the triangles, there's not really someone that's quite strong enough to even rival their strength. The cross and not the cross actually, but the Triangle Alliance. If Ethiopia wasn't in it, they lose almost half their power. Cross Alliance, it's a bit more spread out because they have these guys and these guys, uh, and these guys. But with the nukings, it's gotten real bad. All right. So you had you had launched 10 nukes. I got off track, so only 3 of them or 4 of them hit Russia. 5, 6 of them hit Russia. And China gets a few more because why not? Who doesn't like nukes? And now the most nukes in one country is actually still America, but it's by a very long shot. Russia, they really didn't get to launch many nukes. Out of 24 they had, they now have, according to me, 3. Good job, Russia. And China, any China fans out there, you're not gonna like this number. One. China still has one nuke left, and they just launched it. Where's it gonna hit? Where's it gonna hit? It's gonna hit the capital of the Great Empire. It's not gonna destroy any nukes. The Great Empire is smart enough not to put their nukes in their capital. But China's lost their nukes, and now there's a decent sized gap between number one and number two in terms of nukes. Also, they're both in the same alliance. So the trapezoid's probably gonna win this, right? Well, you've launched three nukes. You've launched one now, and you've launched two. All of them heading in this direction. Also, you've launched four. But yeah, all of these countries are getting hit by nukes. Another one hits Canada, which was a misfire, or something happened with that nuke. But I just put way too many nukes down, so that's that's it for nukes in America. But all of the great powers, except for one, have 10 nukes, and that one that doesn't is obviously America. So where did the four launched by, uh, or where did the four launched by the Great Lakes Empire hit? Well, you'll find out in a second. America still has 16. As I said, you have 10, and you have 10, and you have 10 wherever your capital is. And you don't have any. Where did the four launched by these guys go? Well, suddenly, now, you don't have 10 anymore. You have 6. Suddenly, you don't have 10. Actually, no, you don't have any now. Well, technically, you kinda do. Those 6 were the ones destroyed. 4 others were launched. I wonder where they're gonna land. You thought, by the way. Alright, so, 6. Okay. 4 final nukes launched by Korea. One there. You could use an extra nuke in there. There's 5 nukes launched on the Ethiopian capital. That's insane. An extra nuke for you. You, my friend. Get a nuke on your capital. Alright, that's the 4 from Great Lakes Empire, actually. And you get another nuke. You get 2 nukes, actually. You get another nuke. You get another nuke. You don't need any more nukes on your capital. And you get another nuke. Alright. These guys have now just launched all 10 of their nukes, apparently. They is done with getting nuked. Alright. And obviously, yes, this episode is coming to a close now. One nuke hits here, and another hits there. One nuke hits right there. And another one hits right there. For here, one nuke hits right there. Another one hits up there. You don't get your capital nuked. You're lucky, but you do lose all of your nukes. And what's Ethiopia doing? Well, oh yeah, you can get one there, and you can get one there. Well, there's no more nukes left in the world. All nuclear supplies have been erased. All of them. Well, actually, that's not true. There is still nukes in two countries, and they are neutral in this war, so they're not gonna do anything. But that will do it for today's episode of What If Civilization Started Over. I know this one was two uh things happened, or three things happened technically. But that will do it for today's episode. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for next episode where World War III will really start.